Hello and welcome to another installment of Algebra 1. This is section 4 and this is writing linear equations. And our objectives today is we want to write two variable linear equations in different forms using varying pieces of information about the relationships. And then we want to use linear models to solve actual problems. So before we do anything, when we're being asked to write the equation of a line, oftentimes we're given like 2 points on that line or 1 point in the slope. And given any bit of any of this information, we can write the equation in either in SlopeIntercept form, in Pointslope form, or in standard form. So the first thing I want to do is talk about SlopeIntercept form. Okay, SlopeIntercept form is, so SlopeIntercept form, okay, and this is where you have y is equal to mx plus b, okay, where m is your slope, okay, b is your y-intercept, all right, and x and y are just x and y, okay. The next one that we have is point-slope form, okay, and so point-slope form. Okay, and this is the equation y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1, okay, where m is your slope and x sub 1 comma y sub 1 is a point on the graph, okay, point on the graph. So notice that you've got, you got point slope form, point and slope, where you're given a slope and a point on the graph, and you can just write the equation given those two things. Okay, the next one is standard form, and we'll quickly go over that, but standard form is where you've got ax plus by is equal to c, okay? Now notice real quick, guys, that, in standard form, that means that x and y are on the same side of the equal sign, okay? Typically in point slope form, y and x are on opposite sides, and same thing with slope intercept form, y and x are on opposite sides. In slope intercept form, that is solved for y. So this is what you typically normally will see, but you'll see other things as well. So, okay. On this first problem, it says, write the equation of the line that passes through the points -2, -3, and 8, 3, first in point-slope form, and then in slope-intercept form, okay? And so what we want to do is we want to come up, let's write it in point-slope form, and then we'll use the point-slope form to go into slope-intercept. So the first thing I want to do is I want to find my slope, okay? If I'm given 2 points, I want to find my slope, and I'm going to, take my, my slope formula, which is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, okay? And in order for me to identify what those are, doesn't matter which ones I name those, but I'm just going to call this x sub 1 and y sub 1, and then we'll call this one x sub 2 and y sub 2, okay? So I'm going to plug those in. So I've got 3 minus -3. All right, so m is equal to 3 minus -3 divided by 8 minus -2. Okay, so I've got 8 minus -2. So this becomes 3 plus 3 over 8 plus 2, so we get a slope of 6 over 10, which is going to simplify to 3/5, okay? So now that I have my slope, okay, my slope m is equal to 3/5, I need to identify what x sub 1 and y sub 1 is. And we could do either of these points. It doesn't matter which point we do as long as we choose one of them. I'm just going to go ahead and choose the point that we had already chosen as x1 and y1. And so I know that x sub 1 is equal to -2, and I know that y sub 1 is equal to negative 3, all right? So this is the information that I need to put my equation into point-slope form. And what I'll do, let me write that out again. I'm going to do y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1, all right? So y minus y sub 1 is just going to be y minus negative 3, okay? Plug in negative 3 in for y sub 1, okay? And that's going to equal 3/5 times x minus x sub 1, which is negative 2. So I'm going to plug in negative 2, okay? Now, it's important that we keep our negative straight. We are subtracting a negative, and whenever we subtract a negative, that's going to be a positive. So we get y plus 3 is equal to 3/5 times x plus 2, okay? And this answer here is in point-slope form, okay? Point-slope form. That's all you got to do, okay, to put it in point-slope form. Now we want to turn it into slope-intercept form. So what I want to do at this point is then go, okay, well, if I do slope-intercept form, let's first start off with our point-slope form. So I've got y plus 3 is equal to 3/5 times x plus 2. Okay, I'm going to distribute my 3/5, and so I've got y plus 3 is equal to 3/5 x plus 3/5 times 2 over 1. Okay, and so as a result, this is what I get. I get y plus 3 is equal to 3/5 x plus, what is that, 6/5? Okay, and from there, all right, my objective is to solve this equation for y. Okay, get y equals everything else. Okay, so I'm going to subtract a 3 from here and here. So as a result, we get this. We get y is equal to 3/5 x plus 6/5 minus 3 over 1. Okay, now when I'm doing this, I want to get a common denominator. So my common denominator is 5, so I'm going to multiply by 5 over 5. And then as a result, let me bring this up here. Okay, we're going to get y is equal to 3/5 x plus, and this is going to be 6/5 minus 15/5. Okay, and so then we get y is equal to 3/5 x, and then 6 minus 15 is just going to give us, what is that, 9/5? Negative 9/5, so minus 9/5. Okay, and that, my friends, this is our slope-intercept form. Okay, so now let's take a look at the next one. Okay, and the next one says the same thing. Okay, it says write the equation of the line that passes through the points 7, negative 4, and negative 1, 3. Okay, first in point-slope form and then in slope-intercept form. So the first thing I do, because I'm given 2 points, I got to figure out the slope. And I'm going to label this x sub 1, and this is y sub 1, this is x sub 2, and this is y sub 2. So here's what we've got. My slope m, okay, is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. All right, and this is going to give us, let's just plug these in. I've got 3 minus negative 4, so we've got 3 minus negative 4, okay, over, and then negative 1 minus 7. Okay, so then we've got, okay, that's really going to give us 3 plus 4 over negative 1 minus 7. So we get 7 over negative 8. And that's our slope. Okay, our slope is negative 8. And I'm going to put that right here. So we've got negative 7/8 as our slope. Okay, so my slope m is equal to negative 7/8. Okay, my x sub 1 value, and we'll go ahead and choose this for our x sub 1, is 7, and then y sub 1 is equal to negative 4. All right, so that's our slope, that's our point. Let's go back through and put this into point-slope form, and remember our formula for that is y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. So we've got y minus negative 4, so y minus negative 4 is equal to negative 7/8, okay, times x minus x sub 1, which is just 7. All right, so now let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit, and we've got y plus 4 is equal to negative 7/8 times x minus 7, okay? This answer here, this is our answer in point-slope form, okay? Now, what I want to do is I want to put this into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to distribute my slope and then move the 4 over and solve this for y. So the first thing I'm going to do is write that up here. I'm going to write y plus 4 is equal to negative 7/8 times x minus 7. Okay. Now I'm going to distribute my negative 7/8 first. So I've got y plus 4 is equal to negative 7/8 x. And then negative 7/8, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do minus 7/8 times negative 7 over 1. All right. Now let me simplify this just a little bit. And we've got y plus 4 is equal to negative 7/8 x. And then we've got, what is that, positive 49? So positive 49/8, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. All right, so as a result, I get y is equal to negative 7/8 x plus 49/8 minus 4 over 1. Now let's get a common denominator of 8, so I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 8. And then we get y is equal to negative 7/8 x plus 49/8 and then minus 32/8. So now we've got this. We've got y is equal to negative 7/8 x, and then 49 minus 32 is just 17, so we've got positive 17/8. Okay, and this is our equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, all right, let's take a look at the next one. Okay, and we have this equation already. We've already seen this equation more or less. It says write the equation of the line passing through the points negative 2, negative 3 in the point 8, 3 in standard form, given that the point slope form is this. So it's the same one that we had. We should get the same slope intercept form for here, even though we chose a different point for x1 and y1. Same thing, okay? So let me rewrite this over here. We've got y minus, y minus 3 is equal to 3/5 times x minus 8. Okay? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into points or into slope-intercept form, and then I'm going to change it into standard form. So I'm going to multiply through the 3/5. So we've got y minus 3 is equal to 3/5 x minus 3/5 times 8 over 1. Okay, so this is going to give me y minus 3 is equal to 3/5 x minus 24/5. Okay, all I did was multiply across. 3 times 8 is 24, 5 times 1 is 5. Okay, now I'm going to add the 3 to both sides. Okay, add the 3. So then we get that y is equal to 3/5 x, okay, minus 24/5 plus 3 over 1. Multiply the top and bottom by 5 and 5. So as a result, here's what we get. All right, let me move this up here. We've got y equals 3/5 x, so y is equal to 3/5 x minus 24/5 and then plus 15/5. All right, so check out what we get. Okay, we get y is equal to 3/5 x. Negative 24 plus 15 is going to give us negative 9/5. Okay, this is in slope-intercept. Now, this is the same thing that we had up here, right? So it doesn't matter which point you use, and I wanted to show you guys that, But it doesn't matter which one you use, as long as you use either of these points, in point-slope form, it doesn't matter. You'll still get the same slope-intercept form, okay? So now what I want to do is I want to put this into standard form, okay? Which is where I have x and y on the same side of the equal sign. So I'm going to rewrite this, and I'm going to do another part over here. I've got y is equal to 3/5 x minus 9/5, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this term with my x over to the other side. So I'm going to subtract both sides by 3/5 x minus 3/5 x. So what I get is I get negative 3/5 x plus y is equal to negative 9/5. Now, here's the tricky part. Okay, even though this is technically in point-slope form, or I'm sorry, standard form, all the x's and all the y's are on one side and the numbers are and this number's on the other, we typically don't like to have fractions in our in any of these coefficients and numbers. Okay, we prefer not to. So what we do is we multiply the entire thing by the denominator. Okay, I'm going to multiply this all by 5. And actually, okay, let's just multiply it all by 5. All right. So what happens is I'm going to get negative 3/5 x times 5 plus 5 times y, and we're going to set that equal to negative 9/5 times 5. Now the reason why I did this is because now these 5s can divide out of these denominators, and that gets rid of the fractions. So what we end up having here, our answer in standard form, okay, is this. All right, and we're going to get negative 3x plus 5y is equal to negative 9. And this is my answer in standard form, okay? And that's what we're looking for, okay? And some books will say, okay, we should rewrite it as 5y minus 3x is equal to negative 9. You know, it doesn't really matter. As long as you just have numbers out here instead of just fractions, that's kind of what we're looking for, all right? So, all right, let's take a look at the last one, or last couple. Okay, it says write the equation of the line that passes through the points 8, negative 1, and 2, negative 5 in standard form, okay, given that the point-slope form is this, okay? And that wasn't the one from the other, no. Okay, so here's our point-slope form here, all right? So let me recopy this down, and we're going to do y plus 1 is equal to 2/3 times x minus 8. All right. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute this 2/3. So we get y plus 1 is equal to 2/3 x minus 2/3 times 8 over 1. Okay. So we get y plus 1 is equal to 2/3 x and then minus 16/3. All right. Now I'm going to add 1 to both sides, or I'm sorry, subtract 1 from both sides. Okay. And so we're going to get y equals 2/3 x minus 16/3 and then minus 1 over 1. Okay. Get a common denominator of 3, so I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 3 over 3. And that's going to give me, okay, we've got y is equal to 2/3 x, okay, minus 16/3, and then minus 3/3, all right? So we get y is equal to 2/3 x minus 19/3, all right? So there's my answer in slope-intercept form, slope-intercept form, okay? And then, all right, what I want to do is we'll take this and, okay, we want to turn this into point slope or standard form. Okay, So I'm going to rewrite it real quick. I've got y is equal to 2/3 x minus 19/3. All right. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this term, this 2/3 x, over to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 2/3 x from both sides. So I get negative 2/3 x plus y is equal to negative 19/3. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these fractions and multiply the entire function by the denominator, which is 3. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do negative 2/3 x times 3 plus 3 times y, and then I'm going to do 3 times negative 19 over 3. Now the reason why I do this, again, is because these, when you multiply by the denominator, it divides out the denominator, okay? So as a result, we get negative 2x plus 3y is equal to negative 19, okay? And that is our equation in standard form. Okay, this is in standard form. All right, and that's what we're looking for. All right. Okay, and then it says the equation of the line that passes through these 2 points, okay, can be written in different forms. And so what you have, is you have this form here. This is in point slope. Okay. This is in slope intercept. And this is in standard form. Okay. Now notice, I think in this one, in the standard form, okay, look what they did here. This has 3x minus 5y is equal to 9. So if I look over here, 3x minus 5y equals 9. What they did was they then took this and they multiplied it by negative 1. And so you just changed all the values, and it gave you, positive 3x minus 5y is equal to positive 9. Okay, so typically we might want to do that, but same idea, same thing. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video here. Let you guys kind of wrap your head around that. Kind of a lot of information in a short amount of time. It's just a lot of algebra. Okay, and that's a big key to this. So make sure you're writing these things down and make sure you're going through all this.